Hello, welcome, and welcome back, tribe. I have a very special video today. I haven't done one of these talking ones in a while, and I felt very called to do this one in particular. And this one's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be cutting or editing anything. I just took down a bunch of notes because I had a lot to say on the topic. And yeah, so if you see me looking down, it's just me remembering what came from my heart this morning. So today we are talking about detachment. Okay, detachment. We hear this a lot in the spiritual community. However, I am going to give you my take on it, what it means, how it plays into the big picture of your spiritual journey, and just like a method that I use that's really helped me in my path, and that I really truly genuinely feel is capable of helping so many people out there. So I hope that you find this helpful and let's get into it. All right, so what detachment means. This is my understanding. Here it is. It is not getting carried away between the light and the dark parts of your path. So what does that mean? The light parts of your path. So we all know we go up and down, up and down. We have the hills and valleys. We have the light periods. We have the shadow periods. The light periods are the ones that have, you're experiencing an overwhelming amount of joy, happiness, abundance. Things are going right. Yes, my blessings are coming in. Manifestations are hitting you left and right. And life is good, right? For the most part, life is good. We still go through little ups and downs, but in general, things are going pretty well when you're in the light period. You can't really complain. But let's talk about the shadow period. What is the shadow period? This is where we go through the cleansing, purging. Things are coming up. Oh my gosh, I feel stuck. I feel rigid. I can't see 10 feet of what's in front of me. Like, what the heck is even on my path? What is my path? Who am I? So, shadow period, things struggling just a little bit. Although I wouldn't even say struggling, but it's like things become a little bit more challenging. The energy shifts. It starts to call you more inwards, right? Because it's asking you to take a look at what's going on inside. What do we have that needs to be reevaluated? What do we have that isn't really serving our path? That's not really looking like it's even part of our path? That's the general gist of it. And so it's just a general period of like turmoil and confusion. And again, it is temporary. I have to say, both periods are temporary. Neither lasts forever. Change is inevitable. Change is the only constant, right? So this is what I mean by not getting carried away between the light and the dark parts of the journey. When you're in the light part, it's, kind of, sometimes we tend to get lost. I tend to do this, where you tend to get lost in that, oh my gosh, it's going to be great. It's going to be like this forever. I can see where I'm going. Everything's working out for me. Like, I'm surrounded by abundance. Awesome. Great. And then, when things start shifting, which they always inevitably do, it's not getting stuck onto the light and being like, no. Oh, all my blessings, like, oh, everything is kind of like fizzling out. And clinging onto it, right? Likewise, in the shadow period. Ooh. And I feel like this is where most of us have the same common issue, where it's like, things are never gonna get better. I can't see a single darn thing. I'm literally feeling stuck my butt to the ground. Nothing is working out for me. But like, spirit, I can't even hear you. I can't even see you. Am I even connected? Like, what? I have all of this stuff surrounding me, but it doesn't even matter. I don't even see its value. I don't know. What is there to be grateful for? So, I know, I'm just exaggerating it a little bit, but sometimes we all get into these moments, and it's all part of the journey. It's all part of the path, right? So, you'll notice the spiritual journey bounces between the two. It always bounces. Look back in your life, you will notice you've had periods of really high highs. We've all had periods of really low lows, but they're always changing and they're always shifting, and it will keep continuing. It's the cycle. So when we attach to one section or the other, when we attach to the light or we attach to the dark, what that does is it prevents the energy from flowing. We want the energy to flow. The energy wants to flow. Everything wants to keep flowing. Everything wants to keep growing and moving. So when you think about it, I mean, look at life. Life is always constantly changing. You can look at day and night, seasons, life and death, right? It's like it's always constantly bouncing between light and dark aspects of ourselves, of our lives, of reality, so forth. So remember that life moves, and it's constantly moving from one state to the other. This is really just me reiterating, like, just remember that all is temporary, but just be aware that we also move with the phases. We also move with the seasons. You know, we don't actually get stuck in one phase or the other, whether we like it or not. If we don't shift with it, it will shift you. It will take you with it. So it's like I always say, you know, you can either cooperate by getting on the horse and riding with it, or the horse will drag you. So, yes, remember, before we dive into like the deeper part of this video. We all go through phases. We all go through phases. We all go through the light. We all go through the dark. It's just a natural cycle. You know, we're always cycling from one to the other. It's like a swinging pendulum. You're gonna go back and forth, back and forth. And it's all about remembering, it really is about remembering, like, not to stress yourself out with the swinging. In fact, imagine that you are on a swing like a child and going like, wee, you know, like back and forth, back and forth. It's kind of like, it would be really weird if you were on a swing and then, you know, you got to like one end and you're like, I just want to stay here, but it's moving back now. And it's like, oh, well, I want to stay here, but oh, now it's moving back. Like, I don't think you'd really have fun on a swing if like that was your perspective about it, right? So, I want to get into the heart of this video. And this is what's really going to help, is learning how to recognize, are you in the light or are you in the dark? Where are you in your journey? Where do you find yourself? And it is all about cultivating that awareness. And that's really where most of the power lies. Like, I really have to be honest with you. It's the power of your awareness. It's the power of your mind. You know, we think that enlightenment or the spiritual journey is all about, you know, being that, you know, meditative guru. And really, you don't have to look like that. It doesn't have to be just that. But like the basis of pretty much like every spiritual journey that I've experienced anyway, myself included, is the level of awareness. How aware are you of what's going on in your life? How aware are you of what's going on in your body? How are you feeling? How it's affecting your perspective on the world? How it's affecting your perspective in your relationships, in your connections? How is it affecting the way that you view life? You know, your abundance, what you're grateful for, and your possibilities. So, my question to you here, or rather, something that you should probably ask yourself. This is where I start when I'm like trying to recognize, okay, like where am I? Because sometimes, you know, we get swept away, we get carried away, and we kind of get lost in our daily lives, what we're feeling, what we're, you know, it's just, things start buzzing. It's normal. We're all human. So, what are you experiencing? You know, whether it be on the daily or like a macro scale, you know, like weeks, months, what are you experiencing? Are you feeling greater turmoil? or are you feeling greater flow? Are you, and you can check in with your body too, if you're very like body aware, you know, are you moving throughout your day with a constant feeling of like rigidity or tension, or, you know, just like wariness or being watchful? Or are you flowing? And, you know, there's so many different ways that I can try to describe this, but it really is the feeling of freedom. And that can be whatever that is to you. You know, feeling free, feeling like, you know, you can play with the grass and enjoy, you know, be a kid, or, you know, have fun, laugh at things, laugh at yourself, see the world in wonder and in awe, or just feel free, like, to express yourself, to say what you want to say and not feel like you're walking around on eggshells, or, you know, whatever it may be, and to feel more grounded, more centered, more embodied. So flow can show up in many different ways, right? And the one thing that I really notice the most about when I'm in the flow is I'm really able to see more clearly. I'm really able to see from a much more, I want to say like centered point of view, but that's not exactly the right word in this case. But it's more like from a view of, you look at everything from a point of growth, like a standpoint of, there's growth in everything. Everything grows. Everything is constantly growing. And finding the appreciation in that, you know, it's like, even for the light, even for the dark, you know, you're constantly appreciating like, wow, there's like so much to learn, and there's so much to grow, and there's so much that I can do, you know, to improve myself or to improve my life, to help others. Like it's that really, really wholesome perspective, you know? And then on the contrast, it's so funny because I feel like I'm just flipping between these energies where I'm just like happy over here, and then it's just like taking me down, right? But when you're in the dark, are you spending your days feeling like you're more confused, or like stumbling around trying to figure out like your path, your next move? Like I just don't see like the logistics of this. Like this just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not gonna trust it. I don't freaking know. I'm in like whatever, you know, and there's a sense of apathy about it, you know, it's just like, I don't know, whatever. And yeah, hint, that's the dark phase, right? That's the dark phase. But you know what? You don't have to come at it with this, like, this perspective of like, oh God, the dark phase. We don't want her. You know, it's more like both phases really have something to teach you. You know, in the light, you're expansive and outwards, and your energy is shining so bright, and you're able to really put yourself out there and achieve so much. And that's where you really see the growth. That's where you're like, you know, you're at the top of the tree looking down and you're like, whoa, I did all this. Like, I grew so much. Versus, of course, when you're in the dark phase. Again, it's not necessarily like this is not your enemy, okay? Like the dark phase is not your enemy. What is the dark? You know, think about it like the earth when in winter. Plants, their energy moves downward. Their energy moves to the roots. That's where the energy is stored throughout the winter, because they go inwards. They, you know, what I'm trying to say here is like, you are kind of like a plant. You go inwards and you start to store your energy there. And what I mean by that is like, you start to reflect on, okay, you know, I've harvested all my abundance in the light period over here, but now let's kind of check in and see, where are we at? Where are we at? What needs to be looked at or taken care of for the next chapter in my life, for the new light that I want to step into when that phase comes, which it inevitably will. So it really is more so evaluating like the next phase of your growth, or the next phase, like the progress that you want to make, the next leg of growth that you want to achieve. So that's what I mean by identifying where you are in your path and beginning to cultivate this sense of like flowing with it, you know, just flowing with it in the sense of you're along for the ride. So, you know, when the ride changes, when it goes through the light parts, when it goes through the dark parts, you're just there for the ride, and the ride is showing you everything that you're doing. You know, when you're in the light, it's like, wow, look, you've achieved so much in your past dark period before you got into the light. Now that you're heading back into the dark, now you get to see everything that you achieved over here in the light, and you go, wow, well, you know what? I kind of want to do more now, and I kind of want to change this, and I kind of want to tweak that, and you know, now this dream is coming in that I want. Well, what can I change in this past light period that will now get me over here in the next light period, right? So it really is that introspective inwards energy of like, okay, let me take a moment to pause, really evaluate what's going on with me. Like, where am I? You know, what do I want, right? Okay. Right. So, yeah, I kind of covered that. Basically what I was trying to say here is like, you're going to be in the dark. You know, you're clearing out everything that you don't need for the next chapter ahead. And when you're in the light, you are enjoying that chapter. Pretty much the sweet and simple version of it anyway. Oh gosh, you guys, like I am just so... This is such a big thing that I've been learning. So it really, I love that it's coming out now because it really kind of puts me into perspective. Like, what have I learned about this? You know, like what have I really truly learned and begun to integrate and embody? Okay, so moving on. And I told you, you know, I'm not editing this. So we're just reading my notes. All right. So I want to help you guys by talking about putting detachment into practice. Putting detachment into practice. All right. Well, how do we do that? This again is my explanation because I know there's a lot of different ways you can understand what the heck detachment means. Here is mine to you. Detaching yourself is giving yourself the ability to see things as they are, to look past beyond the emotions that you attach to an experience, a situation, or a person, or even memories, right? You know, like we attach to a lot of different things. It's kind of in our human brain to do that, at least, I mean, psych people, like, please tell me. But giving yourself the ability to detach really allows for greater clarity and judgment, because really it all comes down to discernment, right? Like, what are you really able to discern? And when your emotions or your memories or whatever you're carrying begins to project onto what you're looking at, right? It really kind of sways your vision, right? It's like, okay, well, now I don't think I'm actually seeing things as they are. So now it's about recognizing when detachment is needed. Okay, so we kind of understand what detachment is about, kind of. All right, well, when do I even need to do this? Oh gosh, like I said, when we're swept away by emotions, right? And emotions are intense. Like, come on, we got to put it out there. Emotions are intense. No need to bypass it and be like, nah, I got everything under control. Because, come on, we're humans. We're here to feel things. We're here to experience things. Like, let yourself feel it. In fact, lean into it so that you can actually understand what you're feeling. Especially if they're negative emotions, okay? Like, negative emotions, I know we're all like, nah, I want to stay in the light. But the negative emotions, what do we have? We have fear, we have anger, we have doubt. We have the whole, I don't know the word, but I'm just going to say like the yeah, right attitude, right? Like, yeah, right, there's no way that's going to happen. I don't know if that's apathy, but like someone dropped that word for me because I was trying to think about it all morning. I'm like, I can't remember the word. So yeah, right attitude it is. And yeah, the inability to see how things are going to happen. So logistics, right? So many of us are just like, I want to know every single piece of information, every single little step of the way, before I even consider looking in that direction or even putting myself out there or like facing my fear or whatever have you. Let me tell you, it drives me nuts when I do this. Like, it drives me nuts when I do this. I'm also very much about logistics. And yes, I get carried away in the whole, okay, well, I just don't see how it's going to happen. And even though I know, like, okay, I got to trust, right? Like, I got to trust. It's not easy to break. It's not easy to fully always stay in that trusting mindset because, again, we're human. We have light and dark inside of us. So, you know, things crop up. So what I want to say here now, it's about bringing yourself back to center. Bringing yourself back to center. You know, when we are remembering our pain in the past or memories, whatever's going on, and then we're stressed out in the present, and then we're worried about our future. Like, there's so much happening, right? And it's like, where do I look? I'm just getting swayed about. I feel like I'm in a freaking tsunami of I don't even know what's happening. Come back to center. Come back to center. Breathe. Focus on a single point. Whatever you need. Breathe. You can envision what I like to do, which I actually do like to envision like two lines kind of coming together and just meeting in the middle. And then detaching. So it's about centering yourself and getting into that space where you can really just get out of that frazzled energy, right? Breathing, coming back to center, and detach. I literally visualize, kind of like in a zoo or an aquarium, like a glass wall, and just going like behind it. And I just visualize it, I imagine it. You can do whatever works for you, however you understand this concept. And just detach. And see how the energy changes. See whether you can pick up any subtle nuances of, oh, okay, things seem a little bit maybe quieter. Maybe there was a little bit of a shift where you're not as like, oh, it's not as buzzing now. Okay. Doing this will help you to see your blocks, will help you to see what's important, will help you to trust your future, for sure, guilty. And really, it will really help you see where you need to transform. This, most of all, like, sorry, I just have to be like, thank God, Spirit, like, you taught me how to do this. Because that is such a powerful place to be. Being in a space where you're really able to, you know, take yourself out of the really intense experience, whatever's going on, and then come at it from that kind of more omniscient perspective, right? Like, okay, I'm stressed out about this over here. It's kind of stressing me out about what the future, whatever is up there. Ooh, I see how it's affecting me in the present. Okay. All right. So it's like, it gives you the ability to really gather your thoughts and gather your bearings. You know, it's regaining that sense of perspective and a clearer outlook on your experiences. So, you know, that's the space where you start asking yourself, how do you want to approach life? What do you want out of it? Do you want to approach it from your shadows? Or do you want to approach it from your heart? You know, that's where you can really begin to really make those kind of decisions for yourself. You know, you're able to consciously make that choice. You don't have to be running on autopilot. You don't have to be running, you know, via your shadows. You don't have to be chained by them. And, you know, it's like, it gives you that ability to really see, okay, well, where can I transform? Again, it's that like sense of being able to really reevaluate and see and understand. Okay, what are we looking at here? Right? What are we looking at? Cultivating that awareness. You know, it's not just about seeing like, okay, where do I want to go? This is really what I stress the most, and what I know so many of you have heard me say before, but it really is, what do you want to feel? What do you want to feel in this experience? You know, what is it that you want to experience at all? You know, do you want experiences that fill your heart and, you know, fill you with love and joy and happiness and like, oh my gosh, like, wow, I can't believe that this happened. You know, it's like this serendipitous energy. Or do you kind of want to stay in that sense of like, I just don't know, I'm not sure, doubt, fear, uncertainty, hesitation, apprehension. Center, detach. What are we looking at? You know, what are we looking at? We all have that ability. You know, you don't have to be a guru. You don't have to be literally anybody on the street. Anybody on the street can do this. This isn't even just for like the people who consider themselves spiritual. Like, this is a natural part of the human experience. It's just about knowing, like, believing that you can do it, right? Knowing that you have this ability. That's where the power lies. You know, it's like, what, in asking yourself all of these questions, for me anyway, my experience has been, it's always come down to looking at, what am I carrying that's not serving what I want to feel? Because honestly, it is so important to see things how they really are. You know, like, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's just really knowing, no, not even knowing, but just being willing to see things as they are. Because sometimes we get so in our head of like, well, this is just how it is. You know, this is just how it's always going to be. But it's that willingness that opens up all possibility for you. It's that willingness to see how things have grown, situations, circumstances, people. And, you know, the willingness to take on a perspective that doesn't just see scars, but sees new leaves and blossoms and flowers and like, wow, butterflies, you know? And how do we get there? You know, how do we get there? What do we have to ask ourselves? What do we have to do in order to be that? In order to get to that space? What do we have to look at? You know, what do we have to feel in order to get there? Oh my gosh, yeah, guys, like this energy is like, but honestly, you know, I'm just so adamant about this this is like, if I could just put my passion into one thing, into one sentence, it would be that you can always transform your outlook. Point blank, period. You can always transform yourself. You can always transform what you carry. You are the alchemist of your own life. You know, you can make the impossible possible. And it always starts by coming back to your heart. You know, so much more becomes possible when you do this. So much more begins to open up. Things you, again, never thought that you would experience, that you were like, never in a million years did I think that this would happen. Never in a million years did I ever even, like, I couldn't see this at all. And why couldn't you see this? Why couldn't you see this possibility, right? And why? Because what are we carrying? What are we carrying that's not allowing us to see this possibility? Right? It's that evaluation. It's that introspect. And you know, you can, it's like, you can always ask spirit for help too, honestly. You know, if come on, guys, like me especially. I don't know everything. I don't think anyone knows everything. And especially in those moments of like, I don't think I can see clearly, like I just don't know what I need to look at. That's when I ask for help. You know, ask and you shall receive. Ask and you shall receive. So, you know, I think I'm going to wrap this up by saying, you know, find that willingness to live your life and to make choices and decisions and open up possibilities from your heart space, from your heart center, and ask yourself, what does my heart really want? So yeah, I feel like I just really had to put that out there. And you know, whoever is watching, I really hope it helps you. I'm sending you all so much love, so much light. Until next time, until next time.